Welcome, basketball aficionados, to what might be the most critical juncture in the modern era of Asian hoops. We are standing at the precipice of a massive paradigm shift, a moment where the tectonic plates of global basketball are grinding together, and the shockwaves are being felt from the bustling streets of Manila to the pristine arenas of Japan, and now, echoing all the way across the oceans to the storied courts of Europe. Today, we are breaking down a multifaceted news drop that has completely sent the basketball world into a frenzy. If you have been following the trajectory of Filipino phenom Kai Sotto, if you have been tracking the explosive growth of the Japan B.League, and if you have been paying attention to the global chess match that is international basketball scheduling, then you know that this coming Sunday is not just another game day. It is a proving ground. It is a statement. And it is the beginning of a completely new chapter. Let us start with the breaking headlines that have set the internet ablaze. The news is officially out, confirmed just days ago in this pivotal month of May 2026. Kai Sotto, the towering 7'3" pride of the Philippines, has officially parted ways with the Koshigaya Alphas. Following the expiration of his contract at the end of the 2025-2026 season, Kai is now a free agent. This comes alongside the simultaneous departures of his compatriots, Kiefer Ravena leaving the Yokohama B Corsairs, and Ray Parks Jr. exiting Osaka Ivesa. The Filipino exodus from their respective clubs marks the end of an era, but more importantly, it signals the beginning of a massive bidding war and a strategic repositioning of the Philippines' finest basketball exports. Kai Sotto's departure from Koshigaya is particularly poignant. This was the team that took a chance on him, the franchise that provided a sanctuary and a rehabilitation stage following his devastating mid-season ACL injury in early 2025. He returned, he rehabilitated, and he reminded everyone exactly why he is considered a generational talent, culminating in absolute masterclasses of offensive efficiency and defensive anchoring. But now, the chapter is closed. The future is uncertain, but the immediate present demands our absolute attention. Because before the ink can even dry on whatever multi-million-dollar contract awaits him next, there is business to be handled. The headline flashing across screens everywhere reads, Kai Sotto, Buena Mano. The New Zealand bigman. Game day on Sunday. B.League team in Lalaban, Europe. There is so much to unpack in that single, electrifying string of words. First, we have the concept of the Buena Mano. For those unfamiliar with the cultural nuance, Buena Mano translates to the good hand, the first strike, the lucky opening. In the context of this Sunday's blockbuster matchup, it represents setting the tone. It is about drawing first blood. Kai Sotto is stepping onto the hardwood this Sunday looking to deliver that Buena Mano, to establish dominance right from the opening tip against a formidable opponent. And who is that opponent? The headlines point to a massive collision, the New Zealand bigman. New Zealand basketball is legendary for its uncompromising physicality, its rugged screens, its relentless rebounding, and a brand of front-court play that traces its lineage back to the hardest enforcers in the sport. When you face a New Zealand center, you are not just playing a game of skill. You are engaging in a battle of attrition, a test of pure, unadulterated strength and willpower. Kai Sotto, with his finesse, his high basketball IQ, and his towering height, is going to be tested in the crucible of the painted area. This Sunday is not a friendly exhibition. It is a war for territorial dominance in the paint. It is the ultimate litmus test for Kai's post-ACL physical conditioning and his ability to hold his ground against world-class, heavy-duty opposition. But the headline does not stop there. It drops an absolute bombshell that has international scouts scrambling for their passports, B.League team in Lalaban, Europe. This is the wild card. This is the narrative that changes everything. For years, the Japan B.League has been steadily climbing the ranks, aggressively recruiting top-tier imports, securing lucrative television deals, and elevating its domestic talent. But to challenge Europe, to take an Asian club and throw them into the gauntlet of European competition? That is unprecedented ambition. It speaks to a crossover event, a potential intercontinental clash, or perhaps a massive preseason tour that will pit the run-and-gun, high-octane style of Japanese basketball against the methodical, tactical, and defensively suffocating half-court execution of European juggernauts. Is Kai Sotto involved in this European conquest? Is his sudden free agency linked to a team that is preparing to make this intercontinental leap? Or is a European club looking to acquire the Filipino sensation to bridge the gap between their market and the massive, rabid fanbase of the Philippines? The implications are staggering. We are looking at a convergence of storylines, a superstar entering free agency, a physical trial by fire scheduled for Sunday, the cultural pressure of delivering the Buena Mano, and the looming shadow of a European invasion by Asian basketball. In this exhaustive, deep dive analysis, we are going to dissect every single angle of this developing story. We will break down the biomechanics and tactical geometry of Kai's upcoming matchup against the New Zealand enforcer. We will forensicize the 2025 to 2026 B.League season, analyzing exactly what Kai Sotto, Kiefer Ravena, and the rest of the Filipino contingent achieved, and what their free agency means for the Asian basketball economy. We will explore the historical context of Asian teams stepping onto the European stage, and what a tactical clash of those two distinct basketball philosophies actually looks like on the floor. Grab your notebooks, settle in, and prepare for a masterclass in basketball analysis. We are leaving no stone unturned, no statistic unexamined, and no narrative unexplored. The stakes have never been higher, the global stage has never been wider, and the future of Kai Sotto is the most compelling drama in sports today. Let us dive in. The sport of basketball is a game of constant evolution, a fluid tapestry of adjustments, counter-adjustments, and evolutionary leaps. To understand the gravity of this Sunday's matchup and the broader implications of the B.League's European ambitions, we must first put the pieces of the puzzle on the table and examine them under a microscope. Let us begin with the immediate obstacle, the Sunday Showdown against the New Zealand bigmen. When we talk about the New Zealand brand of basketball, specifically regarding their frontcourt players, we are talking about a very specific, highly effective archetype. Think of the lineage. Think of the sheer physical density, the wide bases, the immovable lower body strength. New Zealand bigs are traditionally taught the dark arts of the paint from a very young age. They are masters of the early seal in transition. They understand the geometry of rebounding, not just jumping for the ball, but taking away the opponent's legs, creating space with their hips, and utilizing brute force to secure second-chance opportunities. They are elite screen setters, the kind of players who do not just slip a pick, but who look to make heavy, bone-rattling contact to free up their guards. Facing this type of opponent is physically exhausting. It wears down your lower back, it tests your balance, and it forces you to expend vast amounts of energy simply fighting for an inch of real estate on the block. Enter Kai Sotto. At 7'3", Kai possesses an inherent gravitational advantage. His sheer length alters passing lanes and forces slashers to reconsider their trajectory toward the rim. However, the historic knock on Kai, particularly in his earlier developmental years, was his ability to anchor his lower body against players who possessed a lower center of gravity and superior core strength. This Sunday is the ultimate examination of his physical maturation. Following his ACL injury in January 2025 with the Koshigaya Alphas, Kai's rehabilitation was not just about repairing a ligament. It was a total bodily reconstruction. It was about adding functional mass, improving his kinetic chain, and learning how to absorb contact without yielding his position. In this matchup, Kai cannot afford to get locked into a wrestling match. If he tries to play a pure leverage game against a New Zealand enforcer, he risks early fatigue and foul trouble. Instead, Kai must utilize the Buena Mano approach. He must strike first, but he must strike smart. He needs to use his elite footwork, arguably some of the best footwork of any big man in the Asian circuit right now. We need to see him utilizing the drop step, the up and under, and the face-up game. By dragging the heavier, more traditional New Zealand center away from the basket, Kai can utilize his perimeter shooting. If Kai can consistently hit the mid-range jumper or stretch the floor to the three-point line, he forces the opposing big to step out of their comfort zone. This neutralizes the physical disadvantage in the paint and opens up cutting lanes for his guards. Defensively, Kai must rely on the principle of verticality. He cannot allow the offensive player to initiate chest-to-chest contact before the jump. He must establish his position early, go straight up, and let his 7'3" frame act as a human eclipse over the rim. But this single game is just a microcosm of a much larger narrative unfolding in May 2026. Let us transition to the shockwave of the free agency announcements. The news that Kai Sotto, alongside veterans like Kiefer Ravena, have opted to enter the open market is a massive disruption to the B.League's balance of power. To understand why this is happening, we must analyze the economic and competitive evolution of the B.League itself. Over the past 3 years, the B.League has aggressively pursued its vision of becoming one of the premier domestic leagues in the world, second perhaps only to the NBA and the EuroLeague. They have implemented a restructured tier system, the B.League Premier, demanding higher arena capacities, massive revenue thresholds, and intense community engagement from its clubs. For a player like Kai Sotto, who just completed a season where he averaged a highly efficient 12.8 points, 6.4 rebounds, and over a block a game in limited minutes, including an absolute masterpiece of a performance where he dropped 28 points on 12 of 15 shooting against the defensive juggernaut Alvark Tokyo, his market value has never been higher. He proved that the ACL injury did not rob him of his mobility. If anything, it improved his basketball IQ and his half-court patience. He proved he could dominate stretches of the game against top-tier B1 competition. By stepping into free agency now, Kai and his representation are signaling that they are ready to leverage this performance for maximum return, whether that is a massive payday with a B.League championship contender, a strategic move to the Australian NBL, or, perhaps, stepping through the door that the latest headline has blown wide open, Europe. This brings us to the most tantalizing piece of the puzzle, B.League team in Lalaban, Europe. The word Lalaban, in Tagalog, means to fight, to compete, to take on the challenge. The idea of a Japanese B.League team traveling to Europe to compete is a monumental shift in international basketball diplomacy. Historically, the flow of talent and competition has been somewhat linear. Americans go to Europe or Asia. Europeans go to the NBA. Asians look toward the B.League, the KBL, or occasionally the NBL or NBA. But a formalized clash between the top clubs of Asia and the powerhouses of Europe represents an attempt to flatten the global basketball hierarchy. Imagine the tactical friction. Japanese basketball, heavily influenced by modern pace-and-space philosophies, relies heavily on blistering transition speeds, a high volume of three-point attempts, and intricate, fast-moving pick-and-roll continuity offenses. It is a guard-heavy, perimeter-oriented style designed to maximize possessions and exploit defensive rotations. European basketball, conversely, is the pinnacle of half-court execution. The EuroLeague is characterized by physical defense, sophisticated weak-side screening actions, the heavy utilization of the Spanish pick-and-roll, and a profound emphasis on controlling the tempo. It is a game of chess played with sledgehammers. If a B.League team, or an Asian all-star selection, goes to Europe, they are going to face defensive coverages they rarely see in domestic play. They will face hard hedges on every screen, aggressive tagging of the rollman, and physical off-ball denial that disrupts the timing of their offensive sets. For a player like Kai Sotto, an excursion to Europe would be the ultimate masterclass in high-level basketball intellect. In Europe, a 7'3" center is not just expected to catch lobs and block shots, they are expected to be the fulcrum of the offense. They must be able to operate out of the high post, make split-second reads on back cuts, deliver dribble handoffs with precision timing, and punish switches in the post with ruthless efficiency. The rumor of this European expedition raises profound questions about Kai Sotto's immediate future. Is a top-tier B.League team, perhaps one with ambitions to participate in this European tour, clearing cap space to make a max offer to the newly minted free agent? Or is this headline a subtle leak that European scouts, who have undoubtedly seen the tape of his 28-point clinic against Tokyo, are preparing to make an offer? The European game values high IQ, sweet-shooting big men immensely. A player of Kai's dimensions, who has a soft touch around the rim, who shoots a high percentage from the free-throw line, and who has demonstrated the capacity to stretch the defense, fits the archetype of the modern European center perfectly. Furthermore, we must weave this entirely back into the fabric of the Philippine national team, Gilas Pilipinas. Under the tactical direction of head coach Tim Cone, Gilas has adopted a highly structured, defensively disciplined system. Coach Cone's triangle-influenced principles and demanding defensive schemes require players who understand spacing, angles, and unselfish ball movement. Every single high-level international repetition Kai Sotto gets, whether it is battling a New Zealand heavyweight this Sunday, dominating the B.League, or potentially testing his mettle against European giants, directly translates to his effectiveness in a Gilas uniform. The Philippine national team is preparing for crucial FIBA windows, and they need their anchor. They need a player who is not intimidated by the physicality of the Australian Boomers, the ruggedness of the Tall Blacks, or the tactical precision of European squads in potential Olympic qualifying tournaments. Let us dissect the psychological aspect of the Buena Mano further, because it is not just a catchy phrase, it is a sports psychology imperative. In a game against a physically imposing opponent, the first 5 minutes dictate the psychological weather for the next 35. If Kai Sotto allows the New Zealand big man to establish deep post position early, if he gets sealed under the rim, or if he gets pushed off his rebounding spots on the first few possessions, a subconscious precedent is set. The opponent gains confidence, The referees subconsciously adjust their whistle to allow more contact, and the game becomes an uphill battle in the mud. However, if Kai delivers the Buena Mano, if on the first defensive possession he executes a perfect vertical contest resulting in a block or a highly altered shot, and if on the first offensive trip he sprints the floor, seals his man early, and demands the basketball for a high-percentage finish, he entirely rewrites the script. He puts the heavier defender on their heels. He forces the opposing coach to consider adjusting their defensive coverage, perhaps sending a double team, which then activates Kai's passing ability and opens up open looks for his perimeter teammates. The Buena Mano is about seizing the initiative. It is about transforming from the hunted into the hunter. To achieve this, Kai's preparation over these last few days of May must be meticulous. It requires hours of film study, understanding the specific tendencies of his matchup. Does the defender prefer to spin over the right shoulder or the left? Do they drop their hands on the shot fake? How do they navigate screens in the pick and roll? Kai must download this data into his muscle memory. He must step onto the court on Sunday not just as a physically gifted athlete, but as a tactical computer ready to process the game in real time and exploit every microscopic inefficiency in his opponent's technique. And we cannot ignore the parallel storylines of his peers. The simultaneous free agency of Kiefer Ravena is equally fascinating. Ravena is a seasoned floor general, a player who dictates pace, manipulates defenses with his eyes, and possesses a profound understanding of game management. His departure from Yokohama creates a vacuum in their backcourt, but also unleashes a highly valuable asset onto the market. Players like Ravena and the dynamic R.J. Barrientos, who continues to push the boundaries of guard play in the Asian circuit, are essential ecosystem components. They are the primary ball handlers who would be tasked with executing the pick-and-roll actions with a center like Kai. The synergy between elite Filipino guards and a generational big man is the holy grail for national team success, and watching their professional careers intertwine across the B.League and potentially beyond is a narrative masterpiece. As we look toward the future, this convergence of events in May 2026 feels like a historical inflection point. The B.League is no longer just an isolation chamber of domestic basketball. It is aggressively seeking international validation. The European clubs are no longer ignoring the talent pool bubbling in Asia. And Kai Sotto, standing at the center of this storm, is a free agent holding a winning lottery ticket of talent, youth, and immense marketability. The game this Sunday is not merely a box score waiting to be filled out. It is a live-action audition. It is a clash of basketball cultures. It is the physical manifestation of the Buena Mano principle. Every scout, every general manager, and millions of passionate fans will be analyzing every frame of footage, every defensive rotation, and every offensive sequence. The pressure is immense, but diamonds are formed under the weight of mountains. Kai Sotto has navigated the complexities of international basketball from a very young age. He has dealt with the unrealistic expectations, the harsh critiques, the devastating injuries, and the grueling rehabilitation processes. He has matured from a lanky prospect into a professional anchor. Now, as he faces the New Zealand challenge, and as the whispers of European conquests fill the air, he has the opportunity to dictate his own legacy. He is no longer just a prospect. He is a highly sought-after commodity in the global basketball marketplace. In the modern game, the center position has been redefined. You can no longer just be big. You must be versatile, you must be mobile, and you must possess a high-speed processor for the game's geometry. You need the ability to protect the rim without fouling, switch onto smaller guards in emergency situations, and facilitate offense from multiple spots on the floor. Kai Sotto has flashed all of these abilities. He has shown the soft touch, the defensive timing, and the improved physicality. The challenge now is consistency. The challenge is delivering the Buena Mano not just in the first 5 minutes of one game, but consistently, night after night, against the highest level of competition the world has to offer. This Sunday is a stepping stone. It is a proving ground. It is the opening argument in the case for his next major contract. Whether he signs with a B.League powerhouse looking to dominate domestic and regional competitions, whether he joins a squad embarking on a groundbreaking European tour, or whether he takes his talents to an entirely new continent, the narrative begins right here. It begins with the tip-off. It begins with the physical confrontation in the paint. It begins with the will to dominate. As we wrap up this extensive, deep-dive analysis, the gravity of the upcoming days cannot be overstated. We have traveled from the micro-tactics of post-defense and footwork to the macroeconomics of global basketball leagues. We have dissected the cultural importance of the Buena Mano and the monumental implications of a B.League team setting its sights on the European continent. At the center of this massive, swirling vortex of news, rumors, and anticipation stands Kai Sotto, a free agent in May 2026, fresh off a remarkable comeback season, and facing a Sunday test that will demand every ounce of his physical and mental fortitude. This Sunday against the New Zealand bigman is more than just a game, it is a canvas. It is an opportunity for Kai to paint a masterpiece of resilience and dominance. It is a chance to prove to the world, to the scouts watching from Tokyo, from Manila, and perhaps from Madrid or Milan, that he is ready for whatever the next tier of basketball demands of him. He must set the tone early. He must embrace the physicality, utilize his superior length and refined skill set, and deliver that lucky, powerful first strike. He must be the Buena Mano. For the fans, this is a golden era of observation. We are witnessing the maturation of a player who carries the hopes of a nation, navigating a global basketball landscape that is more interconnected and competitive than ever before in history. The decisions made in the coming weeks, the contracts signed, the teams chosen, these will ripple out and affect the trajectory of the Gilas Pilipinas national team and the perception of Asian basketball on the world stage for years to come. Keep your eyes glued to the court this Sunday. Watch the footwork. Watch the defensive rotations. Watch how he handles the contact in the low block. Every single possession is a line on his resume. We will be right here, analyzing the fallout, breaking down the film, and keeping you updated on every single whisper of free agency movement, whether it leads back to a Japanese metropolis or across the globe to the arenas of Europe. Thank you for joining me on this exhaustive journey through the current state of global hoops. If you appreciate this level of intense, documentary-style basketball analysis, make sure to engage with the channel, stay tuned for our post-game breakdown, and never stop watching the beautiful game. The global chessboard is set, the pieces are moving, and it is time for the tip-off. Until next time, keep analyzing, keep watching, and enjoy the game.